to trial. Take it to trial. Welcome in, grab a seat, hit the like and subscribe. The Sweet Peas on the mic with that spicy little vibe. Got the courtroom streaming in the chat, going wild. We're debating heavy topics, but still laughing like a child. From objections to confessions to the judge's side eye. If it's justice and it's messy, we gon' talk about why. Every day's a new case, every moment's a ride. And when Sweet Peas in the building, we be learning with pride. Minds on deck, keep the room running smooth. Film free therapist, you know, keeping everyone in the groove. Right to with the facts, pretty brown girl with the sass. Morelia and Fowler keep the peace in the chat. But Jason walks in and the ladies collapse. Chocolate, take it to trial, where the truth gets loud and the laughs run wild. Sweet Peas got the spice, she's the queen of the aisle. Chat fam rolling deep, we've been here a while. Lights on, mics up, we gon' do this right. Take it to trial, every day, every night. Take it to trial. Morning shows are sharp, afternoon is on fire. And we catch every moment that the court might inspire. From witnesses whispering, the lawyers trying to hard. You know Sweet Pea breaks it down like a legal tarot card. Chats cracking jokes, dropping theories on the fly. We're serious when it counts, but we still testify. Minds hold it down when the trolls try to play. If you write a line, court adjourned for the day. But when Jason logs in with that deep hello sound, the ladies in the chat, man, they all fall down. Take it, 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 take it to trial, where the truth gets loud and the laughs run wild. Sweet Peas got the spice, she's the queen of the aisle. Chat fam rolling deep, we've been here a while. Lights on, mics up, we gon' do this right. Take it to trial, every day, every night. Take it to trial. When the sun goes down and the cases get deep, after dark gets spicy, no secrets to keep. Taboo topics, big laugh, slap, happy crew. Sweet Pea says behave, but we never really do. It's opinions, confessions, stories untold, but we handle it with heart like the chat made of gold. Hey! Take it to trial, from day to night and every wild mile. Sweet Peas nearly strong with her trademark style, and the fam in the chat always makes it worthwhile. Turn it up, show some love, hit the like on sight. Take it to trial, yeah, we live tonight. Take it to trial, yeah, we live tonight. Take it to trial.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Junkie on the freeway, white claw in the breeze. 2 hours there, 2 back, still typing with ease. LA lanes locked, but she don't slow down. Show up every time, yeah, she runs this town. Sitting in the traffic, but she locked in chat. If Sweet Pea goes live, yeah, she's right on that. From the 405 to wherever we at. Junkie pulling up like y'all good, I'm back. Different time zones, same front row seats. No matter where we are, we all meet in the free. We the California's rolling deep online. 4 corners, 1 crew, yeah, the vibes align. From the coast to the chat, yeah, we show up right. If you're lost downstream, we gon' guide you like Californians. Yeah, we stay in the mix. 4 names, 1 flame, you can't remix this.
SD rolling with the sunset glow. West Coast haze where the good vibes flow. Little bit lifted, yeah, she stays serene. Ocean breeze mixed with the evergreen. Late to the stream, but she still gon' slide. Panel opens up, she already inside. Hold up, I'm here, yeah, she dropping bars. Calm, cool energy, no matter how far.
She got that FOMO, scrolling every stream. Little lost downstream, but she part of the team. New to the crew, but she locked in fast. Super chats flying, yeah, she built to last. Wait, where we at? But we got her back. Point her to the right stream, never off track. Now she vibing with us, no need to roam. Anywhere we at, yes, Susie home.
Shamrock, yeah, Shamrock checking in from across the map. Different time zone, but she bridging the gap. Y'all good every time, yeah, she mean that. Heart so big, you can't teach that. Algorithm running, she keep it alive. Dropping love in the chat, keep the whole thing thrive. Quiet power, steady hand in the dark. Every stream glowing, got a Shamrock spark.
Yeah, yeah. Junkie, 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 junkie.
Susie, Shamrock, Shamrock.
Junkie, junkie. Show up every stream, yeah, we never think twice. From the traffic jams to the ocean tide, from the lost links to the worldwide ride. Californians, yeah, 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 we stay in the mix. 4 names, 1 flame, can't remix this. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Californians, Californians,
Happy Sunday. Oh, why, oh, woo. It's Sunday. Fun day, I guess. I don't know. How's everybody doing? I know, it was so crazy because I was like, we not going to stream today. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, we'll just do our trial prep on Monday. And then I started looking at this case and I'm like, this is so much stuff. I was like, there's no way I'm sitting on there for 10 hours on Monday trying to understand or give us some type of idea. I put a poll out there because I've never seen this trial, the first trial. I've never even heard of the Stabbies until just Shamrock brought it to my attention. I don't know. Maybe I was up under a rock in 2023 because I don't recall any of this stuff. Needless to say, that's why, and that's how we're getting started today because I said, let me get a couple hours in today. Since I couldn't start like real early in the morning, I said, let us at least get a couple hours in today so we can have some time for tomorrow. But yeah, that's kind of how we ended up doing this. Or I ended up doing this, 1 or 2. But so I think, we're going to walk through this together because if anybody does have any knowledge on this, whatever you want to share, please feel free to share. Feel free to share with us. And we'll kind of go from there. Because like I said, I was like, when I was going through, I'm like, they show a 6-hour interrogation video to the jury. Right there, I was like, oh gosh, like I don't want to. I'm thinking that I don't know if they're going to show it in the next trial or not when we start Tuesday. I don't know if they should. I don't know if they shouldn't. I don't know if it helped because I heard the defense is the one that brought it in. So I'm not sure if it helps them or not. I don't know. But we shall find out. Anyways, let's get started. Let me go ahead and do our welcomes in. Hey, SD, good morning. Well, I should say it's not morning time. It's good afternoon or evening for everybody. Good evening, Marilda. Hey, Christian, this afternoon for you. It definitely should be afternoon for Susie. Yes. Hey, Kelly, good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Hey, Gabber, happy Sunday. Yes. Hey, Martinez, evening for you. Good evening. Hey, God's devil, good afternoon. I think everybody else should be afternoon, maybe early evening. Hey, Drunky, good afternoon. Hello, lady. How are you? Good afternoon. So let me see what the start. Let me see how many of you guys seen this trial or seen the first trial. Let's see. So most of our chat has not seen it. Oh, so that should be good for us, huh? Yes, Marilda, they showed the 6-hour interrogation video to the jurors. I was like, oh, holy moly. Holy moly. Holy. So I call myself trying to take, because I'm a visual person. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'm definitely a visual person. So I was like, let me see what we got here. Did I see Billy in here already? Did I pass Billy? I didn't see Billy. Did I see Billy or did I not see Billy? I see Martina put Billy in the chat. Billy in the chat? I didn't see Billy. Oh, she must be just coming in the chat or something. Oh, there she is. She on time. I'm like, did I see Billy? Yeah, she's here. Hey, Billy. So I was like, okay, I'm a visual person. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I was like, okay, let me start off with trying to figure out something about something. I don't know. So I was like, okay, well, let me try to type something up and try to figure this out because I am thoroughly confused about this case. That's what I will say. I don't know how, and clearly you can. I don't know how you plead and how do you utilize an insanity, and this is gonna be for a doctor or somebody because I am not a doctor, so I have no clue. I don't know how you claim insanity when incidents happened over a day's span, right? And we got multiple separate events, right? That happened in this case here. Like, are you insane at one point in time, then you come back, and then you not insane at another, you insane at another time, and then you come back, and then you insane at another time and come back? Because I was like, well, how do you do that? How do you go off and do that? How do you get 3 or 4 different times of insanity like that? I don't understand that. And that's gonna be good for when we listen to some of the expert testimony. Oh, shout out to hey, she trying, guys, though. Double dog. Thank you so much. Shout out to all the new members. Thank you so much, Christian. Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you. Hey, Goddess, I see you didn't peep in. How are you? Kelly got hit. Look at there. Oh, how nice. Oh, it's nice. I don't know what God's devil got on his thing. Did Goddess get hit too? Oh, wait. I don't know what's going on with you, God's devil. Oh, wow. She said she hitting up the chat today. Whoop, whoop. So it's like insane, not insane, insane, not insane. Yeah, hey Angela, you on time, boo? I don't know how that works. So I put out this thing, and I'll put it. We got a little chat thing for him, or that I'll put in there. But okay, so I have now. So this all occurred in 2023. So y'all walk with me, and I can kind of give you all my plan for today. My plan is we're gonna listen to portions of the prosecution statement. We're gonna listen to a portion of the defense's opening statement. You know, like I said, I believe opening statements kind of give us the groundwork or give us the map of where each team is going and how they want to present information and what that information should mean to us. Okay. So just so everybody knows that in the first trial, Well, I'll get to that part. The highest charge of the premeditated murder, that's off the table for the second trial, just so y'all know. That can't be charged because the jury was able to make a decision on that portion. Okay, so we don't have to worry about us having an issue having that on the table. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so this is what I don't understand, and hopefully when we listen to some of the testimony from the experts, the psychologists and stuff, or psychiatrists, whichever one, they can explain to me so I can understand how this works. Because on April the 27th is the first attack. This is when he attacked David Bowe, right? He was found stabbed to death in Central Park in Davis. Of course, the community fear, quickly spread it because he was a well-known figure, right? I think they call him the I heard some I want to say they call him the compassion guy. Wait a minute. Because I heard a nickname for him being called. Remember, this is my first time kind of like looking at this. So I tried to write down as much as I could to kind of understand so I can have some kind of idea of what we're doing here and what we're getting into. The last trial, just so everybody knows, it was like 3 weeks. I don't know if this is going to be 3 weeks again, but possibly. I don't know. Yeah, I'll find his nickname in a minute. I forgot that they did call him a nickname. I didn't write that down. I want to say the compassion guy. Because well, no. Okay, and so then this is what I don't understand when they claiming this insanity defense. Then 2 days later, we go to April the 29th. This is the second attack. Now, mind you, David and Kareem, which is victim number 2, both of them passed away. So he was a UC Davis student, was attacked while riding home near Sycamore Park. Now, students became afraid to walk along, because this reminded me of you remember when they had the DC shootings and the son it was later found out that he was like shooting out of the back of the car or something from some little hole in the trunk of the car. It kind of puts that in my mindset in regards to that. So it was like, okay, 29. So it was like he was doing this every 2 days. This established like a pattern to me, or am I missing something? So on the 27th, he decided to go out and he unalived David. Okay, and then he waits 2 days, and then on the 29th, he back out and he unalives Kareem. Then on the 1st, May 1st, which is 2 days, this seems like a pattern to me. He goes out and he tries to unalive somebody else who is Kimberlee, but she survived the attack where he stabbed. That seems like a pattern. That seems like a person that's on the schedule. That seems like somebody that who's planning this out to me. I mean, the jury disagrees because they said he's not guilty of premeditated redrum, but that's interesting. So then we got 2 more days. On May 3rd, that's when he's finally arrested. After witness reported seeing someone matching the suspect's description, police reportedly discovered cuts on his hands and recovered evidence. Oh, thanks, Mariel. Did she say she gonna try it? They trying. Thank you. If you received those gifted memberships from Mariel, do y'all know what to say? Or Christian, y'all know? Did you hear some people in the chat? I gotta look on the other screen. But so May 3rd, he was arrested, right? So this is all like two days apart. That don't seem strange to y'all? Like for somebody I don't know how he got off with not being premeditated. Boy, it must have been the battle of the experts. Because they will win or lose a case. That's all it could have been. So we have here Everybody trying to hit God's devil. So today we gonna kind of focus on I'm gonna focus today on an attack timeline. We, like I said, we're gonna do the prosecution's opening statement. Now remember, the prosecutor, nothing has changed. We got the same teams, right? It's so crazy. It's so crazy because the last trial was a year ago, almost a year ago today. So 1 year ago, this is when it actually went to trial. So we're going to concentrate on the prosecution opening statement, the defense opening statement. Then I want to listen to the survivor statement, and that's going to be for Kimberlee, and see what she says. And just kind of go into why Davis became so terrified in this community due to our guy here, Carlos Dominguez. The first trial results, just so everybody knows, not guilty on first degree murder. And the jury was deadlocked on second degree murder, and they were deadlocked on the attempted murder of Kimberlee. So the retrial begins on Tuesday. And just so everybody's aware, what's going to be on the table is the two that they were deadlocked. And it's not a matter of if he did it, when he did it. That's already been conceded. The only issue that's on the table now is when they go back to trial, is they're trying to figure out, was this criminal or was this insanity? Hold on 1 second. So that's what we're going to take care of today. And tomorrow what we'll do is we'll go into his interrogation video. As I stated, it's 6 hours long. No, we cannot go through 6 hours. I bet you it's not even good sound at all. But we'll go in there and see it. I was going to listen to it, and I was like, okay, we could just kind of skim through it together to kind of figure out what we can pick. I don't know if they're going to show that entire video again. The defense did bring that video into the trial. The defendant testified. I kept asking myself, well, how does he testify if he's insane or if he's pleading insanity? And I have to keep reminding myself that insanity defense doesn't, it just means that you were insane at the time of the incident. Like, you had that moment of insanity at the time of the incident. But what bothers me, and I will just be honest with you guys, like, I don't know how every 2 days you have insane episodes. So I'm hoping that these experts that testify can kind of like explain how you, like, are they blackouts every 2 days? And he goes on this stabby thing. Like, I don't understand that. And so we'll go into his, okay, that's where they talk about the schizophrenia experts. So hopefully we'll be able to hear from those. And then I guess we can kind of like figure out why the jury was split in regards to this, or try to get some kind of idea before we go in there Tuesday. So that's really my plan. You say he's medicated now, so that's why. Yeah, because I'm like, I don't get this. How 1 minute you are out here, on the 27th, and then you back, and then on the 29th, and then you back, and then on this day you back. Like, where we do that at? Clearly with him. So as I stated, that's what we'll do. And when we're looking at this, I mean, this case right now, when it goes back in, it's not even I believe when it happened, it's not so much about is he guilty of the attacks. We know he's guilty of the attacks, but it's just about his intent in regards to it. Okay. I am. I really need to, Martina, I really need to hear from the experts, even though it's probably not going to help me because I'm not a specialist in that field. because I just find it like wild. Like, how can you have these breaks in your mental health, every 2 days? Like, that seemed like he was on a schedule. And maybe I might be wrong. And then after seeing what happened with the Bianca Ellis case when we was out in Ohio, she had a jury trial too. And if y'all don't recall, she ended up stabbing a 3-year-old, a baby, in the car seat in the Giant Eagle. And it's so similar to all these things. It mimics this. And she only unalive, not only, but she unalive a little boy. I don't even know if he was 3. Yeah, he was 3. And she got found guilty, and they did not find her insane. And she only had 1 incident. This guy was allowed to have 3. And the jury was kind of confused on whether he was guilty or not. So I think that's when we really, really talk about the battle of the experts. These experts must have been just that good. And maybe Bianca Ellis didn't have great experts in her case, but I thought she should have been in the insanity thing. I think what's throwing me off with our guy here, Carlos, is that he did it 3 times, not just 1 time like Bianca. He did it 3 times. No, Martina, they found her guilty. No. Nope. They found her guilty and put her in jail. She did not get to go to the she don't get to go to the hospital. And she only did, not only did, because that sounds so insensitive. She only had 1 incident. I mean, 1 is way too many. Yeah. So, and I really, really, really thought that she was going to be insane. Because it seemed like she was screaming for help. And the only thing about her is that she was in mental health institutions. They knew she didn't have her medication. They knew she was on medication. I don't think that that's the same with him. It just seemed like people in his immediate family, from what I can recall, from the things that I tried to research, seen his mental health deteriorating. But with her, like, yeah, she had just got out of jail like a day or 2 before, or a mental health facility a day or 2 before, and they didn't find her insane. So I think it's like the battle of the doctors, maybe. I really, really thought that she was going to have insanity plea. So for these jurors to be deadlocked the first time on this, I'm like, wow. Like, they couldn't have had me in the jury room, because, I mean, 1 time I can almost probably get it. But I mean, he did this 3 times. I don't think he gonna get this. I don't think he gonna get this defense. Her name is Bianca Ellis. She was in Ohio. We covered it over. It's been what? I think it was like the last couple. Well, we in May. I think we covered it this year. It's on the page. But yeah, they didn't find her insane. They said that she's guilty. That's what the jury said. And another thing is that I guess it depends on where you're at and how it goes. Hey, Heidi. You said Alice is insane, but I think she stopped her meds and that was a conscious decision. I'm not sure who you talking about, Heidi. What case is that? Yeah, so I really have my I don't know. It just I guess I don't know. I need to see how this is going to play out. So no, we are not going to watch the whole trial. I just wanted to watch things that I thought that would be interesting to us. And so that's kind of how we started with this prep thing, because I have not seen it. And I was like, oh my gosh, What if he does not take the stand? Oh, okay. She said talking about okay, so the Alice is okay. All okay. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Okay. Yeah, I think that Ellis. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think with Ellis, and I don't even know if it's that she stopped taking them or if they were not available to her, because I mean she was the same person that was down there in Florida, didn't have the money to pay for her resort fees, and all she wanted to do was go to jail. I don't know. That case was weird to me. Like, that was weird. And then I think that sometimes if you decide not to take your meds, I don't know if that means that it's a choice. I mean, I think that may be part of your mental illness. You know, not taking them, but we gonna have to see. I don't know how he get 3 times on this. I don't know how he get three chances, and then we still talk about mental health. Like, I don't know. So I don't know how I feel about this. So let's do this. I'm gonna pull up the prosecution's opening statement. No, it is not at the beginning of the opening statement because I don't feel like we're gonna hear the opening statement in a couple of days. This is just to give you the idea of what they plan to give to the jury in the opening statements in the first trial. That way we can kind of compare if we can when we get in there. So his name is Matthew Demore. So we'll listen to him, and I believe he's, from all accounts, I believe he's on the prosecution team this time. So it doesn't look like any players really changed, from what I can understand, from what I can remember. So let me get that pulled up here. Hey, Film, how you doing? So I'll get this pulled up and we'll listen to this to see how they're presenting. And more or less, though, I can hear the prosecution team give more of a timeline for us. Let's go here.
Witnesses can come in a jumbled order in there. If you don't understand how they fit into the picture of things, it can be difficult to understand their testimony and the scope of what's going on. Some of the witnesses in this case are going to be people who are unhoused, and so they're going to be brought in just when they can be located and brought into court to testify. And so they may come in the middle of another witness's testimony or something like that. And so we're doing a good job in this opening statement. You'll have a good idea of how everyone fits into what's going on. And so we're first going to look from the kind of 1,000-foot perspective of what is the basics of what's going on in the case. And from the 1,000-foot perspective, it starts on April 27th of 2023 when David Breaux was found dead on a bench in Sycamore Park in the city of Davis. Or sorry, in Central Park in the city of Davis. So David Breaux is sitting upright on a bench in a grassy area. Behind him is a play structure, and you can see that there's a metal railing fence behind him, and he's surrounded by grass on the front. Now, at the time that he's found, rigor mortis has set in, and he's been dead for a while. He's found that morning of the 27th, and so he's killed sometime on the night of the 26th to the 27th. And he's on a bench that's surrounded by grass, and kind of all areas about 50 feet, and he's got this railing to the back. And it's a dark area of the park. The only lighting is kind of, you have a light there and a light there in the kind of play area of the park. And there's trees in between the lighting. And so where David Breaux is on the bench, it is dark. Now, the police are called. The police do an investigation. And then 3 nights later, on the night of April 27th, you have Kareem Abu Najim, who's killed in Central Park. Now, Kareem lives in the housing that's on the left side of the freeway from Central Park, or from Sycamore Park. He lives in the housing there, and he rides his bike through down Sycamore Lane, through Sycamore Park, over the pedestrian bridge, into where he lives to go home. And as he's riding his bicycle down the path, he's attacked and he's stabbed to death. The police respond, the police conduct an investigation as well, and then there is a third stabbing that happens, so Kareem is killed on the night of April 29th, and then you have a third stabbing on the night of May 1st of 2023. And so on that night, Kimberlee Guillory is sleeping in her tent, is sitting in her tent that's next to a PG&E substation in the city of Davis off of L Street. She's sitting in her tent kind of on a tablet when somebody stabs her through the side wall of the tent. And the knife goes through the tent and into her body. She's stabbed twice, including a laceration to her kidney, and she's taken to the hospital where she survives. So from that 1,000-foot perspective, we're going to go down to the kind of 100-foot level as to what's going on, what is the evidence that you're going to expect in this case. And understand the evidence, to understand why this is going to be proven to be a deliberate, willful, and premeditated murder, you're going to need to go back further than when this kind of first comes to light, before David is found in the park. We're going to go back to December 5th of 2022. Now, December 5th of 2022, Carlos Dominguez is a student at UC Davis, and he's struggling. He's not doing well in school. His girlfriend broke up with him months prior. He no longer has a job. His roommates are asking him about rent. And on December 5th, he has finals. So on December 5th, he has this kind of top final for his EDU 110 class at 10:30 a.m. And he's scheduled for several other finals that same day, the same week, going to December 6th, December 8th, and December 9th. So his next final is December 6th at 3:30. Now, we know that during this time frame, he's not spending all this time studying because Carlos Dominguez goes onto Amazon and conducts a couple searches. He searches on Amazon on his account for combat knife, hunting knife, and combat knife. And he makes a selection of a double-edged dagger that he purchases from Amazon. And it's listed on Amazon as Smith & Wesson SWHRT 9B 9-inch high-carbon SS fixed blade knife with 7.2-inch dual-edge blade and TPE handle, outdoor, tactical, survival, everyday carry. Now, these two images that you see here are of the knife as displayed by Amazon, and you're going to hear testimony from Christopher Kamada with the DA's office high-tech unit, that these are images that he recovered from the defendant's phone from December 5th. So these are images that he's seeing while he's shopping, and these are not just stock images of the phone, of the knife. These are the ones that he's looking at when he's making the purchase. Now, the actual knife is going to be brought into court, and you're going to see it. Now, for demonstrative purposes during court, we're going to be using a different knife at times, maybe 37, and it's the exact same make, model knife. This one's got blue tape on the handle, and it comes in a sheath, and it has a double-edged blade. Now, this particular knife, the one with the blue edge, again, is not the actual knife, and it's been dulled with the grinder so that people in court can handle it and lawyers don't end up cutting themselves. And so it's going to be able to be displayed and moved around in court without creating a risk to people. And this is the knife that he purchased all the way back on December 5th. From December 5th, we move into the spring semester. In the spring semester, Mr. Dominguez is not doing well in school. The university is in the process of expelling him from the university. He's filed appeals with the university to appeal his expulsion, and he's still technically a member of UC Davis, still a student there, but he's on the track to be expelled. Then on April 19th of 2023, he sends a text message to that girl that broke up with him. He sends a text message, "Hey, what are you doing? You free tonight? You down to hang?" And she answers, "Out of respect for my girlfriend, I don't know if it's a good idea for us to hang." And he answers, "All right." So her response is on the 20th, and then he answers, "All right," on the 20th. So the 20th, when he gets this, again, rejection from this girl, when he's on the verge of being dropped out, we have 5 days later to April 25th, And we can see what he's doing that day. He's scheduled for classes. He has, this is a Tuesday. He has Tuesday and Thursday classes at UC Davis. And we have the start time scheduled classes. And this is going to be an exhibit that you get. You'll get his scheduled classes for that. You're also going to get expert testimony from Christopher Kamada about his forensic analysis of the defendant's cellular phone. And he's going to talk about how the cellular phone saves data for 7 days about a person's location and movements, and he's going to talk about how that works. And you're going to see exhibit.
So right there, I just really wanted to kind of let us hear about kind of like how this all started on December the 5th. Well, where they're going back to is December the 5th of 2022. The spiral of his downfall in regards to about to be expelled from school. Check. Broke up with girlfriend. Well, girlfriend broke up with him, and now she got a girlfriend. Check. Purchase weapons. Check. So they're going into this spiral leading us up until the attacks that started to begin in April. So I won't let him go into all his evidence because we'll probably get more into that this week, but that's kind of how they're laying the foundation of that portion. What I would like to do next, and I'm gonna kind of pull us through here, and this is still some of this evidence and showing y'all some of the wounds and stuff. Here we go.
Expertise as a forensic pathologist and kind of the positioning of the body before, during, and after the assault. And it's going to show that this is not just a quick event, that this is 31 different stabs that are going on to Mr. David Breaux while he's sleeping on the bench, while he's down on the dirt next to the bench, and while he's getting back up to try.
Okay, and this is my next question for anybody, and I don't know if anybody knows. So this is David Breaux, and this is the autopsy, of course, examination of him. And it appears that if I'm following along with the prosecution team, he was stabbed 31 times. He was sleeping on the bench. Does anybody know why David Breaux was sleeping on the bench? I know that he was supposed to be, I think he was called the compassionate guy. Can y'all tell me? Was he the compassionate guy? I think I seen it somewhere, or what he was called. I think the compassionate guy. Do we have any clue why that was going on?
And defend himself with his arms, and he's getting these injuries on his arm on the bench, trying to defend himself before he ultimately expires in that seated position on the bench. Now, as far as crime scenes go, there is very little evidence at this crime scene. In fact, there's one piece of evidence, this knife sheath here. And other than this knife sheath, there's no fingerprints, there's no DNA, there's no witnesses, there's no surveillance video. This is a very clean crime scene, other than this black knife sheath that would have been on the ground in the park in the dark during the course of the stabbing. And it was left behind by Mr. Dominguez. But for being one piece of evidence, and we're going to get the actual knife sheath in, but again, it's a knife sheath that looks just like this. It's kind of got a belt clip on it, and the knife can go inside to protect people from that double-edged blade. It's going to do a lot of talking. So first, the knife is going to tell us that Carlos Dominguez is the person that committed the stabbing. It tells us that not only because we know that he purchased this exact knife and knife sheath from Amazon back on December 5th, but a forensic analysis of the knife sheath finds his DNA on the sheath itself. Second, it's going to show a bit of what happened during the course of the stabbing. It's going to tell us that Mr. Dominguez brought the knife to the scene. Because we know he bought the knife back on December 5th, it would have been brought to the scene. There won't be evidence that Mr. Breaux had a knife or that there was some kind of struggle over Mr. Breaux's knife, that this is a knife that was affirmatively brought by Mr. Dominguez to the scene where the stabbing took place. It's also going to show that from this point forward, when he's walking around with the knife, it's an unsheathed knife. Right? So he no longer has the protective sheath to carry it around, and when he makes the decision to carry around this knife in the future, he's carrying around a double-edged, sharp weapon that's capable of killing humans, and he's doing so not like you carry your phone, wallet, keys. He's doing it because it's going to take extra consideration to carry something that's kind of sharp like this. And it's also going to show that it's that knife that did the killing and not some other knife. And it's not as if Mr. Dominguez has multiple knives and different knives are used during the killing. We know because we have the sheath for the knife at the scene, we know what knife was used for the killing. And that's going to be important because it's going to be informative to us of some of the things that are going on after David Breaux is killed. One of the things that happens after David Breaux is a removal of DNA belonging to Mr. Breaux on the knife. When the knife is ultimately recovered, a criminalist from the Department of Justice conducts an analysis, and they don't just check one area of the knife, they swab 11 different areas of this knife looking for different DNA. And they find Kareem's DNA on there, and they find Kimberlee's DNA on there, but David's DNA cannot be identified on this knife. It's the only DNA that is missing from the knife. And so we're going to be able to see that at some point after David is killed, but before Kareem is killed, we have something to be removing all that DNA so that it's not discovered later. The other thing that we know about what's going on with Mr. Dominguez after he kills David is what we know from his phone, and it shows us what's going on the next night. So this is one night after he's killed David, 2 nights still before he's going to kill Kareem. And that's that he went to Sycamore Park. 2 nights before he killed Kareem in Sycamore Park, he went there and he walked around it. So let's talk about what's going on. We talked about the power log and how after David is killed, the phone is powered on at 4:57. The phone stays on for about 12 hours and dies of battery failure at 4:13. The phone is powered back on again at 11:26, and it's powered off, but not a battery failure, 55 minutes later. And so this is the 55-minute period that Mr. Kamada is going to be talking about with these points showing that during this time between 11:30 and 20 minutes after midnight, the defendant started in his residence on Hawthorne and then went up to Sycamore Park. And we have all these points that are, again, within 65 meters. This is this precision that goes along with this. And so that is going to be evidence that comes out about whether or not these points are accurate. And these points are all around Sycamore Park with the play structure and also largely clustered around kind of Sycamore itself and this edge here kind of by Willett. Sorry, Willett is the school that's at the bottom right corner here of the image. Now, this power off event though, at 21 minutes after midnight, is taking place at Sycamore Park. It's not that he went back home and then decided, hey, time to turn my phone off for the night. The evidence is going to be that he went to Sycamore Park 2 nights before he kills Kareem there, that he's walking around Sycamore Park, and then turns off his phone at what's going to be a murder scene 2 nights later. So 2 nights later, we're at April 29th. And so across from Sycamore Park is Dr. Matthew Massey, and he lives in a house that's right across from Sycamore, and he has some security cameras that have just kind of a very edge view of Sycamore Park. And they're not going to capture anything because the actual killing takes place in the interior of the park, and this shows just kind of the edge of the park. But we're going to hear testimony from Dr. Massey about being at his home, and he's hearing screaming. He's hearing someone yelling for help inside the park. Now, Dr. Massey is unsure as what's going on. He initially thinks that there's been a bicycle collision and that some bicyclists are hurt. And he's a physician, so he goes into the park to assist. And in the park, he finds Kareem and he finds Carlos Dominguez. And Carlos Dominguez has been stabbing Kareem in the park. And so the testimony has been established that this is not a short or a quick assault, but this is a prolonged and sustained assault against Kareem. Because The assault starts. Kareem is yelling for help. Dr. Massey has to realize that something is going on, make the decision to go across the street. He goes across the street and he goes out there and gets there, and the assault is still going on. Mr. Dominguez is still there with Kareem. So Kareem is on the side of the path when officers find him, and Dr. Massey is performing CPR. He's trying to save Kareem's life. And the lighting here is good for a photo, but it's a dark area of the park. Again, there's very poor lighting. It's kind of difficult to see what's going on. In fact, Dr. Massey has to take out his phone and use like the flashlight on his phone to assist him and see what's going on in this area.
So as we are walking through this, so Dr. Massey, he heard the screams and he thought that it was a bicycle accident. So he went into the park to kind of help. And when he went into the park to kind of help, Mr. Carlos Dominguez was actively still stabbing Kareem. This is the second victim. So I wonder if Dr. Massey, is he the one that's going to be able to give some kind of description of what the stabbing person looks like? Now, mind you guys, none of the victims have any type of connection with each other. None of the victims know each other. This appears to be very random stuff that Carlos Dominguez is doing. Okay.
Area of the park to assist with Kareem. And when Dr. Massey is there, Mr. Dominguez then takes Kareem's bicycle and rides it away. He rides the bike over that bridge that Kareem was going to take, and he takes it down Crystal Grove. Now, Kareem has been killed. Dr. Massey spends a significant amount of effort, and the officers tried to perform CPR, and they tried to save him. But he's been stabbed 40 times with an additional 12 incised wounds. So 40 are stabbing punctures, and 12 are like cuts or less deep injuries, for a total of 52 knife wounds over this assault. And the vast majority of these are in his chest, right in the area of his heart. He's also sustaining knife injuries to his neck, to his face, even has one coming in and going in his lip and knocking out one of his teeth and leaving his teeth on the ground there. And so this evidence is going to be that not only is this a sustained assault, but that it's targeted at the vital portions of his body, and that it's taking place with extreme force, enough to knock out a tooth of Kareem. Again, we're going to have a forensic pathologist come in, different doctor for this. They're going to talk about the specific injuries that Kareem suffered, and they're going to talk about the location of these different injuries, and it's going to come with two diagrams as well. We're going to have a documentation of his front and back injuries. So here we have injuries primarily focused on the front and in the chest, and then also injuries to his head, his forehead, the left side of his head, and to his neck. So where's the defendant going after this? Well, after taking Kareem's bicycle in Sycamore Park, he rides across the bridge here and comes down this bike path that's on Crystal Grove Lane, and abandons Kareem's bicycle on the side of the path. And that's ultimately found by officers on the side of the path with no person around it. It's kind of by this bush area here. And so this wall here is kind of the edge to the freeway. And so you have it's kind of to this side between the path and the freeway. On the ground, kind of in this rear area of the bike, is a water bottle. And this water bottle is important because it's going to be one of the few pieces of evidence at the crime scene linking Mr. Dominguez to the stabbing. Now, I told you earlier that Mr. Dominguez's knife has got Kareem's DNA on it, so that's going to be evidence that's found later. But as far as what's going on April 29th, this is it, because this is Carlos Dominguez's fingerprint in blood on this water bottle that's left here where the bike is left behind. And that's showing that Carlos Dominguez is the person who killed Kareem. But what does he do after this? He's fled the scene, he's abandoned the bike, he's left this piece of evidence, because there's no evidence back at the crime scene of the actual stabbing. the bike and the water bottle is where he's kind of abandoning his property on the run. We have him powering on his phone here. Again, the morning after Kareem is killed, at 11:43, he's powering the phone back up. And so, and it's a bicycle that is really identifiable on these various surveillance videos. But from this point, he's not seen on bicycle headed towards the stabbing anymore. After second G, we have kind of a train station here, and it is possible, and you'll see from the photos, it's possible to kind of tuck in this train station and follow the train tracks up to where the stabbing actually takes place. So this movement here towards the stabbing is taking place at around 11 p.m. From there, we have movement again at 11:06 at 320 K Street. Now, if we look here, 320 K Street is a building that is just off the scene here. It's at the top, and as the camera kind of looks south, and it's a dark night, and it's a really long view for a surveillance camera. So this surveillance camera is not like the other two where it's clear enough that you can identify someone. It's showing silhouettes. Right? You can't tell man, woman, anything about the individual other than that it's someone and that they're walking. And you see somebody walking down third towards the encampment, and that takes place at 11:06. And then you see someone walking back from the encampment the other direction, and that takes place at 11:08. So this is going to be important. You're going to hear from one of the unhoused persons living in that encampment by the name of Alberto Orozco, and he's going to talk about how he saw an individual at the encampment 20 minutes before the stabbing. And he's going to talk about how that person was wearing a black sweatshirt and Adidas pants with white stripes on them, which is exactly the clothing that the defendant was wearing during this time. And that the person that Mr. Orozco saw wearing that distinctive clothing did that walk where they're coming up L away from the encampment and then down third away from the encampment. 4 minutes later, the defendant is identifiable by his pants on this surveillance. It's at the SPCA Goodwill over at 3rd and I, here at this corner. And so there's kind of a few blocks. It's about a 4-minute walk. And this camera is an interior camera from the shop, and it kind of has a view that through some glass doors, and you'll be able to see the area is kind of right in front of the shop. And you'll see Mr. Dominguez, he's walking westbound on 3rd Street. As he's walking, a car comes the other way, and Mr. Dominguez turns around and then heads back towards where the encampment is. The next 20 minutes or so, Mr. Dominguez is somewhere in the area, but he's not on any cameras. We know that he's on foot, because we saw him at the SPCA thrift shop, and we know that he's still in the area because the stabbing hasn't occurred yet. It's somewhere in the area of L between 2nd and 3rd, where this substation is and the stabbing occurs, and where he was last seen at the thrift shop. But then, at 11:36, we again see kind of a silhouette from that 320 K Street camera coming by. Then Kimberlee is stabbed. Now Kimberlee is, at the time of this, living in a tent. So you have the substation in the back here, and her tent is just off the sidewalk here. It's about a foot or so of dirt in between the tent and the sidewalk. And this is the walking path. So that someone coming past that 320 K Street camera would be coming to the right and then down this way. So the person would have walked from the bottom of this picture up toward the top. And Kimberlee is in this portion of the tent, and she's sitting with her back up against the side of the tent, and she's on a tablet. Just like the other two scenes, the scene is dark. You're going to see some body camera videos from the officers, and you'll see them with their flashlights and how dark it is when they're not shining their lights. But Kimberlee has a light. The light is coming from the tablet that she's looking at. And it's right in front of her as her back is up against the tent, and it's casting her shadow on the back wall of the tent. And so the person walking here, Mr. Dominguez, can see exactly where Kimberlee is in that tent because she's lit up on the side of the tent. Now she comes in, or he comes in, takes the knife and stabs her twice through the tent wall. Pandemonium ensues. Okay? There's been multiple stabbings in Davis, and people have been on edge, including unhoused people. One of the unhoused people goes into try and defend her, Mr. Chessman, and he actually ends up going to the wrong tent, thinking that he's defending her, and punching another unhoused person because he thinks he's trying to fend off this attacker. But again, we have Mr. Orozco, who sees what's going on and sees the defendant running from the scene, and he sees him running back the way he came down L Street towards 3rd Street. Ms. Guillory has holes in her tent that are very big, and you're kind of going to see that this is because she has to be extracted from the tent, and so the tent is ripping in different portions on the scene. So this side of the tent is not the entrance. This is the side wall of the tent, and the entrance is around the side. Okay, you're going to see that we have the exact same make model tent in a non-ripped up form, a demonstrative, that we can set up, and you'll see that this kind of gray top here is a rain fly that goes over the bottom portion here. Because on this night, not only was it dark, it was raining at the time that she was attacked. It's also going to be instructed as to what the height is for this stabbing, and that it's not a stabbing that happens at this height, but it's a lower stabbing, because you'll see how high the rain fly is and that it doesn't have holes in it, and you'll see that it's a stabbing down here on Ms. Guillory and she's in the tent. So what do we know of movements after that? We have back to 320 K Street. Now this time, instead of a walking silhouette, we have a running silhouette running westbound on 3rd Street. From westbound on 3rd Street, there is an interruption of just a few minutes, 3 minutes in fact, and then we have the defendant now back on his bicycle, riding his bicycle past Davis Glass here on 3rd Street. He's kind of on the far side of the street riding his glass, riding his bike. He then makes a left turn here onto 8th Street, and this turn we're going to see from a surveillance video that's from this Ace Hardware, that's in Ace Hardware parking lot. This one is then again kind of a distance shot, so it's not one that an identification can be made from, but you'll see that the defendant just passed Davis Glass, and then is now at the hardware store riding his bike, and he rides south on 8th. He has no issue selecting items, and you'll be able to see his movements and how he selects items in the store. He selects them, and then he walks out without paying and goes out of the store, because again, he doesn't have a wallet, he doesn't have any cash. He left anything like that back at his house. So after he leaves Safeway, he comes back down and he comes to this area here where you have like Connie, Villanova, Colby here, and he's walking back towards his house on Hawthorne, which is down towards the bottom of the map. And the officers show up. It's Officers Gonzalez and Story. And first they call out to him and say, hey, can we talk to you? But they're behind him, and he keeps walking down the street. And one of the officers gets in front of him with a car, gets out, says, hey, can we talk to you? And the defendant stops and talks to him. And you'll see this video, this is a body camera recording, and you'll see that he's making eye contact with the officers, that he's having a conversation with him, that he's asking him things like, why do you need my information? And he's acting like people tend to act during police contacts. The thing is, and I told you this, and so you know, and he knew, there's a knife in that bag. The knife is in that bag. And he's got the things that he's taken from the grocery store in that bag. And so you're going to see his mannerisms with this bag. Because as he's talking to the officers, you'll be able to see him even pull up his bag and kind of look inside to see, can this knife be seen in this bag? You'll see him looking down inside of it. And the officers are talking to them. They explain to them why they're stopping them, that there's been a series of homicides and that people are calling in, those who match the descriptions, and they're asking about what's going on. And the defendant is lying the entire time. They ask him for his name, and he tells them his name is John Joas, completely made up name. They ask him for his date of birth, and he takes his date of birth and he tweaks it. Instead of telling him 10/5 of 02, he tells them 10/10 of 99. So close, it's just tweaking the details. They ask him his address, and instead of 762 Hawthorne, he tells them 782 Hawthorne. Okay? 782 Hawthorne doesn't exist. When the officers are trying to verify what's going on with him, they ask him things like, hey, do you live with anyone? He tells them no. And he says, well, actually, I do have roommates, I just don't talk to them. So the officers, at one point, they ask him,
That's good that you can't hear me. No, just playing. Okay, so I was just saying, my question to everybody is that what I'm trying to reconcile in my head, and as we're going through this stuff, I am trying to figure this out. If you are struggling for mental health issues, is he trying to have it both ways? Like, I'm struggling for mental health issues, but in the same token, I know what I did. I know what I did was wrong, because like the prosecutor is saying, like, he used the fake name. He used the fake date of birth. He tried to, like, he's using all this, trying to deflect. So if you are mentally ill, why would you be deflecting? Like, I don't get that. And maybe because I don't have those kind of, I don't know. I guess we're gonna need some. I'm gonna need some explaining to be done, because I think that if you're struggling with mental health illness, then and you have committed a crime, like, how would you even know the wherewithal to even make a lie or make a change of date of birth? Like, I don't get that portion of this. But in the same token, you just went on a 3-day stabby spree. But then you lie about your name, you lie about your date of birth, or are you just removing yourself from the situation at this point in time? I mean, he just left out of a store stealing. That's the problem. Exactly. I take it to trial. Legal insanity is different from what the medical field calls insanity. Yeah. That, I think that's the big. I think that's going to be a big thing for me as we go along. God says, well, sometimes the mind has a way of thinking the unthinkable clearly. So it may be hard for a jury to judge insanity. Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and continue to listen back in to the rest of the opening statements. It's almost done. I did skip portions and parts, so you didn't have it, but we have some of it there. We have listened to some of it. I didn't want to listen to it verbatim, only because we're going to listen to it in a couple of days, but kind of the way they are laying it out is good. And then we'll listen to the defense opening statements to see how they're what they're going to present in order to combat this. There was a case that we covered. We didn't cover it in Ohio the way we would like to, but there was a case with Ruth, I think it was more like religious, where she she unalived her son. And she had like mentally lost it. And she was going for an insanity defense. And you know what happened in that case? She did not have a jury trial. She had a bench trial with a judge determined, you know, because he knows the law. He knows the legal basis for insanity. And that goes very hard. That goes very well with what Billy just said in regards to it's so hard for a jury to judge insanity. Do you think that insanity cases should just go to a judge since they know the legal way of applying the law for insanity, please? Because you get a juror back there like me, and I'm like, nah, I just don't accept that. At different points in times, like I just don't accept it. But when she went in front of a judge, he found her insane, and you know her insanity defense worked, and you know she in an institution versus to her being found guilty, you know, just a regular guilty verdict. And this is for killing her son, and this is in the same state where Bianca Ellis. I think if Bianca Ellis would have had a judge trial versus to a jury trial, because when you with a jury, is more emotion. We got a 3-year-old boy that's been, you know, unalive. We need some kind of justice, some kind of justification. And regardless if they want to take emotion or, you know, out or not, it typically is there. Okay. We just human. So I can actually see where the jury, some of them were back there, and I got the numbers in regards to it. I'll pull them up here because I Googled it. Well, I Googled the numbers in regards to like how the vote came out, and it wasn't really even close at all. So I'm really concerned, but here we go. I think that we should have all insanity defense, all insanity pleas. I think that should just be judged. I don't think the jury should do that. I would be back there like we need some justice. We had 2 people that passed away, criminally insane or not. But I think the judge, they can sit up, you know, they can separate. At least they're supposed to separate. But I think when you get 2 of us back there, you're like, we want some justification. We see this mom, she took the stand. Her 3-year-old son was stabbed right in front of her. I wouldn't care how insane, you know. I mean, not to say that that's right, but we are human. So there we go. Okay, let's go ahead and finish listening to this.
We see your hands. You know, the person they're looking for has been involved in several stabbings with a sharp object. They'd like to see if there's injuries on his hands. And so at this point, the defendant's got the bag in his hand, and he actually goes down as if to set it on the ground, and then stops because the bag has no handles. It's not closed. As soon as you set it on the ground, it's kind of open up, and you'll see the knife. And he actually stops himself from doing that and shows them his hands while holding the bag so that he's got a grip on that bag. Now, officers interviewing him are noting all these suspicious things and ultimately decide, hey, we got to search this guy for weapons. And the officer comes in to do a search. They're starting the search and spot the knife in the bag. They put him in handcuffs and secure him at the scene. He's sitting there on the curb for a while, and officers are still trying to figure out who he is. He tells them again that he lives at 782. Okay? Again, that doesn't exist. Officers are trying to figure out who he is. They ask him his name again. He tells them again his name is John Jones. And the officers can see that he's not being entirely honest about what's going on, and they're trying to get the information as to what this is, because this is not the first person they've dealt with, right? They've been contacting people all over the city of Davis trying to eliminate them, and they're trying to see, is this the person or is it not? And officers eventually talk to him and say, hey, why don't we come down to the police station and talk about what's going on, because there's a lot going on. The officers have seen the knife, they see the cuts on his hands, they see that he matches the description, that long hair with those Adidas track pants, and what's going on. And you'll see kind of the progression through this interview at the scene. You'll see where we have him at Safeway, he's walking around. You'll see his initial contact with the officers, where he's making eye contact and asking questions and providing responses. And then the cuffs come on, the detectives come out, they talk him, they take off the cuffs to interview him, but the knife's been found, and everything starts shutting down. He stops asking questions, he stops being as responsive. He's still lying to them about the information, despite them saying, we just don't believe you if this is your name. And he starts shutting down his emotions and blocking out and starts staring off and not talking to the officers. And we have this kind of closing off. So hopefully this has given you kind of the broad picture of what's going on. And so when you see a witness coming in and they're coming in the middle of something that we're talking about, Central Park, and suddenly they're talking about being on L Street between 3rd and 2nd when Kimberlee was stabbed, it's going to fit in, and you're going to be able to switch gears and say, hey, we're talking about this stabbing, we're talking about that stabbing, we're talking about what's going on. But at the end of the day, as I said at the beginning, the evidence is going to be that the defendant not only stabbed David Breaux, not only did he still stab Kareem, not only did he stab Kimberlee, but for each of those, that he did so willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation. And I'll ask you to find him guilty. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vanderhook. That concludes the people's opening statement. So we are going to take a break now. The break is 15 minutes. Let me walk you through this, how we're going to do breaks. And so generally,
Okay, so we are going to go into the we're going to go into the defense opening statements, just so we can see the opposite of what we got going on. How the defense is trying to say, look, he was deteriorating. I'm sure it's going to come. He was deteriorating, and this is how it happened, and this is why it happened. Let me see.
He was born on October 5th, 2002. Although it is impossible to identify the exact time that he first began exhibiting symptoms, as I mentioned, the evidence will show that it probably occurred sometime near the end of his freshman year at UC Davis in the spring of 2021 or shortly thereafter. Prior to that, for the first 18 and a half years of his life, Mr. Carlos Dominguez was completely healthy. Born in El Salvador, he immigrated to the United States as a very young child. He was raised in Oakland with his parents and his two siblings, Dylan and Mia, who are 4.5 and 9 years younger than him. You will see that he was extremely close with his siblings. Given the hours that his parents worked, it was Mr. Carlos Dominguez who often had the responsibility of getting them to school, walking them home, and giving them food. Although he spoke only Spanish when he first began school, he quickly learned English and would ultimately excel academically. At Castlemont High School in Oakland, he was an honor student, a four-sport athlete, participating in varsity football, soccer, track and swimming. Although not big in stature, he had a muscular, athletic build, and through hard work, he became the starting safety and captain of the football team. And through his hard work in the classroom, he would ultimately graduate 11th out of his graduating class. He was also a typical teenager. he started a YouTube channel which consisted of him doing silly activities or pranks with his friends and siblings, and also playing video games with running commentary. He was friendly, he was outgoing, and he was healthy. And through his hard work, he earned admission to UC Davis, which he began in the fall of 2020. Now, this was a time of COVID and online learning, and it was difficult to begin college in these circumstances. And Mr. Reales Dominguez was more shy than he had been in high school. Growing up, he had been referred to as Carlos Reales, which is the paternal name of his father. And Davis, they started referring to him as Carlos Dominguez because that is the last name on the Zoom screen. During this trial, he will be referred to as both, but I will refer to him as Mr. Reales Dominguez because that is the name his parents gave him. Despite the challenges of COVID, Mr. Reales Dominguez, during his freshman year, developed multiple friendships across different social circles. The first person he met who became a good friend was a man by the name of Nathan Riegos de Dios. They met over a Zoom class. Mr. Riego de Dios is a former football player himself, and he invited Mr. Reales Dominguez to throw the football around. And over the course of their freshman year, they would become very close friends. Through Nathan, Mr. Reales Dominguez met a young woman by the name of Kimberlee Guillory, who by the middle of his freshman year would become his girlfriend, and is probably the person at UC Davis who knew him better than anyone else. Also during his freshman year, he became friends with a group of older UC Davis students from a different social circle, Sydney Sleslicki, Mark Capito, Philip Hahn, and Christian Ortega. And they ultimately invited Mr. Reales Dominguez to join their fraternity. Witnesses will describe a young man, although somewhat on the shy side, was friendly, enjoyed social activities, liked being around people who they would see laugh, joke around, and smile. Throughout his freshman year, he had a close-cut fade haircut, what Kimberlee Guillory described as pristine hygiene. He had a build that was described as normal, athletic, muscular, or even got a little chubby during COVID. A former athlete, he enjoyed playing basketball and other pickup games, and all the people who played with him during his freshman year did not notice anything unusual about how the way he walked, how he stood, or how he carried himself. Like many students entering UC Davis as a bioscience major, he found the academic work far more challenging than he expected, but he struggled through it, and he finished his freshman year in good academic standing with 3 Bs, 5 Cs, 1 D, and a calculus for neuroscience class that he and many other freshmen had to repeat. Even in the time of COVID, it was a typical freshman experience. And then Carlos Reales Dominguez got sick. There is not a known cause for schizophrenia. They believe genetics plays a large role, but the experts will tell you it is a combination of genetics, brain chemistry, and environmental factors. And like so many individuals who experienced that first break of schizophrenia, Mr. Reales Dominguez was unable to recognize that he was sick. He was unable to recognize the symptoms that were clear to everyone else. When he left Davis for summer break, he went to Tracy, California, where his parents and siblings had recently moved. And his sister Mia recalls seeing him several times a day, just staring blankly at a wall for long periods of time. And she saw this multiple times throughout the summer. But at such a young age, she didn't know what to think about it and didn't think to tell her parents. But she did notice that he had stopped showering, which seemed very unusual to her, knowing the teenage brother who had showered multiple times a day in high school. When he returned to Davis for the fall of his sophomore year, he moved into the Parkside apartments with Nathan Riegos de Dios and two other roommates. But it became clear to Nathan very quickly that something had changed in his good friend. Suddenly, the athletic build had changed to someone who, quote, got really skinny. And Mr. Riegos de Dios will describe how over the course of that year, he would see Mr. Carlos Dominguez moving his lips, like having a conversation with someone, but nothing was being said. And Nathan will tell you this freaked him out. And over the course of the year, which they began as good friends, they ultimately stopped communicating at all. Most of the time he spent his sophomore year was with his girlfriend, Kimberlee Guillory. But she also will tell you the differences she saw between the young man she met her freshman year. She also noted the dramatic weight loss and the pristine hygiene that she had dealt with for the first year when he had to go back and take a shower before they could do anything was gone. And she noticed, in addition to this decline in hygiene, he became withdrawn. He didn't want to go out and do anything. He preferred to just stay in his apartment room, making beats with music or writing songs. When they did go out, he was paranoid. She will tell you how on multiple occasions, when they are walking down the streets of Davis or in some other public area, Mr. Carlos Dominguez would believe that people had just said something about him. And these were people who Ms. Gallardo knew were clearly engaged in their own conversations or hadn't said a word. And she could not even give you an estimate of how often this happened. She initially said 10 to 15 times, but it was so frequent, she can't even put a number on it. And this obviously concerned her, but when she would try to speak to Mr. Carlos Dominguez about it, he just shrugged it off. She'll tell you about an incident in around March and April of 2022 when they were entering her apartments at the Parkside Apartments on Olive Drive in Davis. And they were going through the door and another couple was coming behind them. And when nothing was said, Mr. Carlos Dominguez suddenly turned around and got in the man's face and confronted him about what he had just said. And the man hadn't said a word. Ms. Guillory, it was clear to her that Mr. Carlos Dominguez felt threatened by this man. He even attempted to tackle him to the ground. And Ms. Guillory had to separate them. Unable to calm him down, she then tried to drive him back to his apartment complex, only to have him consistently try to open the door and get out while the car was still moving. Finally, when she was able to come to a complete stop, he got out and walked off into the darkness. And then for the remainder of the night, when she tried to call him and tried to text him, he did not respond. And she was so worried that the worst had happened. And then the next morning, she was able to get in contact with him, and he shrugged it off and didn't want to talk about it. And for Ms. Gallardo, this event was a sign that as much as she cared for Mr. Carlos Dominguez, as much as she wanted to help him, she needed to end the relationship, which she did sometime in March or April of 2022. Although they would still see each other occasionally as friends, the relationship never resumed although it was clear Mr. Reales Dominguez wanted it to. Now, after Ms. Gallardo ended their relationship, Mr. Reales Dominguez's mental illness continued to progress. In late summer, he was able to get a job at the Jack in the Box on G Street in Davis, but it didn't last long.
I'm assuming they have him very medicated. Like, I cannot sit like that, like, for periods of time. Like, I'm just trying to figure out how they got him to testify. He a lot of things. Like, I don't even know how he's sitting there like that. Like, it's like a statue. Like, I don't know. I mean, I've seen him blink. I'm being extra when I say he's not blinking or anything. I'm pretty sure he has to blink. Like, I don't think nobody can not blink, even if you didn't want to blink. But it's just like he a statue or something over there. Like, I don't know. Do he look any other ways? Does he do anything else? That's why I'm like, how did they get him on the stand to even? And I can't wait. We're gonna watch his testimony on the stand because I don't know. Will they have him testify this next time? We have to talk about that. Should he get on the stand or should he not?
We'll hear from a coworker named Gladys Verdeen. She will tell you on her first day on the job where she was reporting, Mr. Reales Dominguez just stood behind the counter and didn't even acknowledge her for 10, 15 minutes till finally someone came out and spoke to her. She will tell, now they had overlapping shifts. Mr. Reales Dominguez worked earlier than her, but they would have about 2 or 3 hours they would overlap. And she will describe how every shift they would see him standing like a statue, arms straight by his side, staring at a wall for 10, 20 minutes. And this happened multiple times an hour, every shift she had. She will tell you about one incident where Mr. Reales Dominguez, attempting to work the drive-thru, stood motionless like a statue, staring at a wall, while the beeping of the drive-thru order was heard throughout the restaurant. She'll tell you how she called out his name multiple times with no response. Finally, she walked over, pulled the headset from his head, and in her words, he flinched really bad, got scared, and fled to the back of the restaurant. Ms. Verdeen will tell you how sometimes he just stopped. He didn't show up for his shifts, and ultimately he stopped showing up altogether. Now in the fall of 2022, Mr. Reales Dominguez moved into a house located at 762 Hawthorne Lane in Davis, where he was housemates with Mark Capito, Philip Hahn, and Christian Ortega. He actually took over he wasn't on the lease, he took over the room that had been previously occupied by Sidney Slazicki, who had moved back home in Sacramento County due to family issues, but would still visit the house frequently. And when he moved in, it was immediately clear to all the housemates that this was very different than the young man they had met freshman year. Extremely thin, with long hair that hung in his eyes. He wasn't showering regularly, if he showered at all. He walked with a stiff gait, arms straight at his side, which some of them would describe like almost a zombie. He isolated himself in his room, and when he would leave the room, he wouldn't even acknowledge him. Maybe 10% of the time. During housemate meetings, they would describe how he would stare off into a space or stare off into a wall, and they would have to say his name multiple times to get his attention. All three roommates saw or heard things that caused him to believe that Mr. Reales Dominguez was hearing voices. Mark Capito actually remembered an incident early in his friendship with Mr. Reales Dominguez, where Mr. Reales Dominguez asked Mr. Capito if he had ever heard voices, which Mr. Capito recognized in retrospect was likely a request for help, although Mr. Capito didn't realize that at that time. Now, sometime after moving into the Hawthorne Lane residence, Mr. Reales Dominguez began to engage in a very unusual routines when he would leave his home at night, or leave his home most often at night, and he would walk or ride a bike to a small number of seemingly random locations where he would sit and stare or engage in other seemingly bizarre behavior. Now, one of these locations was Sycamore Park. Before moving into the Hawthorne Lane residence, he had been to Sycamore Park on a few occasions. He had played basketball at the elementary next door with Nathan, but didn't have any meaningful connection. But within a few months, he was going there regularly, where he would sit on or near the play structure and stare at the ground or stare off into the distance. On one of his walks, he found a knife blade without a handle, and he started engaging in a routine where he would take the blade and just try to throw it into the ground, trying to get it to stick, or throw it into a specific tree, trying to get it to stick. And he would do this over and over. And when he realized that the dullness of the blade was making this routine difficult, he did go on Amazon and he ordered a knife, which you've already heard was ordered on December 5th, 2022. Another seemingly random location that Mr. Reales Dominguez would regularly go to, although less so than Sycamore Park, was an area along the railroad tracks at the intersection of 2nd, or what the gravel portion of 2nd and K Streets. This was the location of a downed and abandoned wooden power pole, which I will refer to as Mr. Reales Dominguez's sitting log. Now, during her sophomore year and into the fall of her junior year, which was in the fall of 2022, Kimberlee Guillory lived at the Ryder Apartments, which are right there. For point of reference, over here is the intersection of 2nd and L Street, which was near the area where Miss Guillory was stabbed. Now, when Mr. Reales Dominguez was living at the Parkside Apartments, he would follow the rail when he would go to visit Miss Gallardo at the Ryder Apartments. He would follow the railroad tracks that run north and south through Davis, and you see they split at 3rd Street. He would follow it east into, which is a gravel portion of 2nd Street. And although you're not supposed to do this, he would cut across the railroad tracks, and then he would enter the Ryder Apartments through a gate. There is a locked gate. It has signs that say no trespassing, but you will see it's wide open and people commonly pass through there. And somehow during this time, he became aware of the down power pole that I would call the sit log. It's not there anymore. It was finally removed, but fortunately, Davis police officers named Alex Torres, who, when taking photographs at the scene where Ms. Guillory was stabbed, he took hundreds of photos, not knowing what is relevant. And he got 4 photos where you can see the log. It's not clear. There is a gravel pile there. You see an overturned chair, but behind it you can see the pole. And even after Kimberlee Guillory moved out of the Ryder Apartments, Mr. Dominguez would find himself either walking or riding this location, sitting on that log and staring off across the railroad tracks toward the Ryder Apartments. This photo doesn't have the log in anymore, but you can still see the gravel and you can see the Ryder Apartments directly across. And he would come here at night, sometimes in the day, and he would sit and stare. Sometimes he would get up and walk around before coming back. Now, you've heard about Central Park. Unlike Sycamore Park and his sitting log, Central Park was not one of his destinations when he would leave on these walks. He was familiar with Central Park. He had attended farmers markets there, just like most people in Davis. But when he would leave to go on these walks, it wasn't a destination. It was, however, a place he would stop on his way back home, whether from the sitting log or some other location. Now, when Mr. Dominguez obviously ordered that knife on December 5th, it was right during the time of finals and then Christmas break. We don't know when it arrived, but we know he went home to Tracy over winter's break. And his parents were so shocked and concerned at the physical decline they saw in their son that they urged him to stay home and not go back to UC Davis. They could see something was terribly wrong, but they did not have the knowledge to recognize what it was. And as immigrants themselves, they did not know how to access the resources to help him. And because Mr. Dominguez was an adult and did not rely on his parents for financial assistance to attend college, they did not even have the financial leverage to keep him to stay home. By the time Mr. Dominguez returned to Davis for his winter term, he had stopped communicating with his housemates altogether. He wouldn't acknowledge their presence. He had only minimal communication with his family, and then it cut off altogether. Ms. Guillory will tell you about how on February 6th, she received text messages from both Dylan and Mia, concerned that they hadn't heard from their brother, and if she could help them get in touch with him. And for Ms. Guillory, who knew how close Mr. Dominguez was with the siblings, this terrified her. But ultimately, she was able to give them a number, and they were able to contact him. He continued to isolate himself in his room. He would only leave to attend class or go on his nightly walks. And as I mentioned, when he did appear, he walked stiff and erect, arms straight at his side. He continued going on his nightly walks. He started carrying the knife he purchased on Amazon, both to Sycamore Park and the sitting log, and he would continue the bizarre routine of trying to throw it into the ground, trying to get it to stick, or throwing it at a specific tree. You also see that he used the knife to carve into one of the trees at Sycamore Park what he thought was a face, or something that looked like a face to him. He tried to attend his classes, but his disease made that impossible for him to comprehend the material or perform the work. And you will hear he received all Fs his winter term. By April of 2023, Mr. Reales Dominguez was in a state that multiple experts will tell you is florid psychosis, where he was seeing, hearing, and believing that he was being stalked by a group of shape-shifting supernatural beings that he described as the shadow figures. He had these hallucinations for some time, but as his disease progressed, they became more frequent, more vivid, and more terrifying. And you will see it was the progression of this disease and the hallucinations that came with it that ultimately led to the tragic encounters with David Bro, Kareem Abu-Najm, and Kimberlee Guillory. When Mr. Reales Dominguez was first stopped by the police on April 3rd, you will hear he was at Sycamore Park, sitting on the bench, staring off into space. The individual who followed him and called the police will describe how he seemed to walk not in any sort of deceptive way, but as though he had no idea where he was going. It was simply random. When he was contacted by the police, he was paranoid. He was in a state of florid psychosis. And you will see, he did not believe in his mind that he had stabbed or killed anyone. After he was taken to the Davis Police Department, he was placed in an interrogation room where he would remain for the next 7 hours, not moving, not eating, not drinking, not asking to use the bathroom. Detectives Steve Ramos and Matt Muscardini would spend approximately 5.5 of that hours asking Mr. Reales Dominguez leading, forced choice questions, to which they would receive contradictory responses of yeah, no, or I don't know. When they did not get the responses they wanted, they became frustrated, they became angry, and they repeatedly told Mr. Reales Dominguez what they, quote, already know, that he stabbed people, that he killed people, and they told this to him over and over and over again. During this 7 hours in the interrogation room, Mr. Reales Dominguez sat motionless, speaking in a halting, monotone voice. When officers moved about their chair like normal people do, Mr. Reales Dominguez sat like a statue. Even during a break, when both officers left the room, the only movement was Mr. Reales Dominguez standing up, putting on his hoodie, and starting to walk out the door before the officer watching the door stopped him and said, "What are you doing? Sit down." Mr. Reales Dominguez said, "I was just going to go for a walk." Completely oblivious to the situation he was in. He didn't make eye contact, except for the times the officers ordered him to look at them, which they did over 20 times. He exhibited grossly disorganized thought processes and disorganized speech. Although he persisted in giving the name of John Joas, he gave his correct phone number, and he tried to give his email to UC Davis under the name Carlos Dominguez, but he was unable to spell it correctly. Other information he gave was close to accurate. You heard at the scene, he said he lived at 782 Hawthorne, when in reality he lived at 762. He spelled his mother's name as Varla instead of Carla. He spelled his high school as Castlemont instead of Castlemont. And what experts will tell you, this is not examples of lying, it is examples of a completely disorganized mind. And for the experts who watched that interrogation, it is obvious and clear it is a person who is exhibiting multiple symptoms of schizophrenia. But it was being conducted by two detectives who had absolutely no knowledge, no training, and no experience to recognize what they were seeing. Now, you heard that Mr. Carlos Dominguez was separated from UC Davis. He had the appeal, which was mentioned, that was for academic probation. When he received his separation letter, they simply sent him an email, which he never responded to and never acknowledged that he received it, which there is no evidence he ever received it. And you'll see it is an email written even in a way that even a mentally healthy person would have difficulty understanding what it meant. You saw from the prosecutor's PowerPoint that even after this first two stabbings had occurred on May 1st, he appears to be trying to go to his classes at their scheduled time. You will see he arrived at one almost right as it ended, but then appeared to go to the other one. And then the following day, May 2nd, after the stabbing of Ms. Guillory, again you see him trying to go to his classes. And you'll see, with respect to this power on, power off summary that the prosecutor showed you, you will see that Mr. Carlos Dominguez had an old cell phone that didn't hold a charge, and this power on, power off pattern existed for multiple months. And there was a very good reason why someone would need to bring a cell phone to a class at UC Davis, and that will be explained to you. You will see also after his arrest, when the officers told him that he had been separated from UC Davis, he maintained that he had not, that he was still a student. After his arrest, Mr. Carlos Dominguez was housed in an infirmary of the Yolo County Jail. He spent each day in an empty cell, dressed in a suicide smock, staring at the wall or staring at the ground. He never expressed any desire to hurt himself. He was in the suicide smock just because of how he presented to the mental health staff. He consumed only an extremely small amounts of food and water. They described it as a hunger strike, but he wasn't asking for anything. He just said he wasn't hungry. And soon, the former starting high school safety had fallen to about 108 pounds, resulting in multiple trips to the emergency rooms. But like so many with schizophrenia, he denied any mental health symptoms. Every question asked of him, he denied. And when they offered to give him antipsychotic medication, he refused. For nearly 3 months, he sat in that cell without showering, without brushing his teeth, staring at a wall or staring at the ground. For the first month, he was minimally communicative. You heard he made statements concerned that he was missing his classes at UC Davis, that he needed to register for classes, and he was wondering if he could have a laptop so he could keep up with his classes, still believing he was a student. Ultimately, he stopped communicating verbally, would only use hand gestures, and then basically stopped communicating at all. The psychiatrist who was treating him at the jail, her name was Patricia Tyler, and she treated him via telepsychiatry. She didn't actually meet him in person. She diagnosed him as suffering from schizophrenia, and she recommended emergency involuntary medication. medication he would have to take whether he wanted to or not. You will see that finally in late July, he was given a single dose of antipsychotic medication, and finally the jail sought and received an order on August 3rd, 2023, to an order from the court that allowed them to administer antipsychotic medication involuntarily. And shortly thereafter, Mr. Dominguez began receiving antipsychotic medication for the first time in his life. Once the order was signed and they showed it to him, he didn't physically resist. You will hear that the criminal case was paused. On September 13th, 2023, he was admitted to Atascadero State Hospital for treatment. He remained at Atascadero for approximately 3.5 months before returning to Yolo County Jail in January of 2024, when criminal proceedings resumed. You will see that while antipsychotic medication is very effective, or can be very effective, at treating the positive symptoms of schizophrenia, the hallucinations, the delusions, it is far less effective at treating the negative symptoms. And you will see that many of Mr. Dominguez's negative symptoms, though less pronounced, are still present today. But having now received treatment, received medication, he does now recognize and fully accept that he has schizophrenia. Now, I would like to respond to a few things that was brought up by the prosecutor, because it'll likely be several weeks, if not more, before the defense is allowed to call any witnesses. And they spoke to you about what Dr. Matt Massey saw. He was the individual who found Mr. Dominguez in Central Park at the location, Central Park, in Sycamore Park, at the location of the stabbing of Kareem Abu Najm. And what Dr. Massey will tell you is that when he approached and he had a flashlight on his cell phone, Mr. Dominguez seemed scared. He said, "What do you want? Leave me alone." And he spoke in a childlike voice. And that Dr. Massey's initial reaction when Mr. Dominguez got on the bike and rode off was that he had scared him. And then he saw Mr. Abu Najm on the ground. What you will see is that although Mr. Dominguez did ride across the highway and drop that bike, he immediately returned back and crossed over that bridge. A young woman named Hannah Cheney, who was riding her bicycle by when she saw Dr. Massey on the phone before police even arrived, saw someone who you will see was Carlos Dominguez crossing back over. In the state he was at that time, he was just trying to go home. And that is the only way he knew. Another thing the prosecutor said is that there was no blood found at the Hawthorne residence. You will see that statement is absolutely not true. To the contrary, the evidence found at the Hawthorne residence will show that Carlos Dominguez made no effort to clean or wash anything. Another thing I want to mention is that you will hear testimony from Kimberlee Guillory and other members of the unhoused community in Davis, and they are very close, some of them are very close to each other, and they speak amongst each other. And you will see they are operating under a belief that approximately 9 o'clock on on May 1st when Kimberlee Guillory was stabbed, that Mr. Reales Dominguez was across from the tents, hiding behind trees, scoping them out. This is what they told the law enforcement. This is what many of them still believe. And that two men named Isaac Cheeseman and Albert Osorio did chase him. What you will see is that is absolutely not true. There was a person who they chased at 9 o'clock. His name was Khalid Siddiqui. He worked at Steve's Pizza. And when he would later talk to police, he would tell them how he was trying to walk home from work. And he got to that area, and suddenly a group of unhoused individuals started chasing him for no apparent reason. And an officer named Derek Russell, through an anonymous source at the FBI, was able to get a video of this incident, which clearly identified it was Mr. Siddiqui. But for some reasons, he did not get a copy of the video. And Davis police ultimately determined that Mr. Siddiqui had no involvement whatsoever, and who those individuals saw was Mr. Siddiqui, not Mr. Reales Dominguez. But you will see to this day, law enforcement has allowed those witnesses to continue to repeat that false statement, even though they know it is not true. You heard just last week, Ms. Guillory was meeting with law enforcement about her testimony. She repeated that statement, and they let her continue to believe it. And keep that in mind when you evaluate the testimony of Ms. Guillory and the other members of the unhoused community, how that false belief affects their testimony. Now, an opening statement is not an opportunity to discuss the law, and it will be many weeks before the judge instructs you on the specific intents and mental states that the prosecution must prove for the charges in this case and the various enhancements. So please, as Judge McAdam told you, reserve your judgment until you have heard all the evidence and have had all the law explained to you so you can see how it fits together. But as you hear the evidence, much of which is going to be very difficult to hear and very difficult to see, please keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, that this trial is not just about the physical acts that Mr. Reales Dominguez did, but also what was happening in his mind when he did them. Thank you.
Okay, so we have finished the defense opening statement. And remember, this is from a prior trial. And I guess because at this point in time, they had a lot of different things that they had to prove. Now, I don't think that the defense opening statement will be more or less like this. It's probably going to come from the end of, they're not even going to be addressing the premeditation part of the case. So what I gathered from this is that what the defense is saying, hey, this was a severe mental illness case, not calculated. And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, when we think about what the jury ultimately determined, it was no premeditation here. So they definitely wanted the jurors to understand how drastically Carlos changed mentally before the attack. So you think about it, you know, they say, you know, I know he keep pointing that, look, Carlos was a student. He was an athlete. He was functioning. He had normal relationship with his friends. He had a girlfriend. When I heard he had a girlfriend, I was like, huh, what, when, where, why? Okay, so he had a girlfriend, attended school. So they showed like the, at least from what I can gather, like the difference in how drastic this turn of events happened in his life. And I don't know what brought, and that's going to be for the mental health person when we listen to their testimony tomorrow to kind of like explain. I am nowhere near a mental health professional. All I know is like, I'm thinking from the jury, and this is what the jury, they're not mental health professionals either, okay? So we going off of whatever they say to us, just like the jury is going to be going off whatever they say to us and whatever evidence they got presented with. So I would like to hear, kind of more. I'm not either. I think all people that do crimes is mentally ill. I just don't know if they're, legally mentally ill or, if it's criminal. I guess it depends on how they play it. But I think all of them are missing some pieces of the puzzle, and that causes them to react in the way they react and do things that they do that a non-violent person wouldn't do. So I did notice that he, definitely talked about that weight loss, his bizarre behavior, this paranoia, hygiene, in the jail, those different things, hearing voices and stuff. So I want to hear, the girlfriend's observations, because she testified in the case too. I'm pretty sure she'll testify in the next one. We may listen to some of her testimony tomorrow. Any roommate testimony that they may have, or they, and when actually did he get he didn't get, it seems like he didn't get diagnosed until he actually was captured and placed in prison. So they just wanted the jury, at least from what I can see, is that this is not evil, but just he mentally disconnected from reality. So I think that they brought up some good points. I think the not the true premeditation, I think they won that. I mean, we could tell that they won that, right? Because the jury rejected that idea. Is that the jury was kind of hung up on in regards to if he was is it by insanity plea, or is he not guilty by insanity, or if he criminally responsible. And that's where I'm saying I think a judge should be responsible for making those types of decisions when we talk about juries. I think personally, but that's just my thing. Yeah. You say he meets the definition of you say he meets the definition of insane? Criminally insane, or what type of insanity are you speaking? Is it because did you already see the trial or heard the experts, or I'm just curious. He was like the captain of the high school football team. He was doing great. Then he had a psych break into paranoid delusions. No, your definition. Okay. Yeah, I think this is gonna be like a toughie but a goodie for us, because like I said, I haven't seen the trial. So as we watching this stuff, it's just me, what I'm hearing as we go along. I mean, like I said, I think that anybody that's doing like crimes that's hurting other people, I think that there's something wrong with them already. But just from the aspect that they don't have it together to do that, to get it together. But as we have listened to her, listened to the opening statements, the last portion that I did want to take care of today with some of the time that we have is I wanted to hear, two people unfortunately are no longer with us because he was having psychotic breaks every other day. See, I can't get past the every other day stuff. Maybe once I get past that, maybe I can get there with y'all. Because if you're going to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or have mental illness, I want you to have it. And I don't want you to be okay one day and not okay the next. That's just me. Y'all know I be thinking just way out here, but I be on the land and earth on my own. But yeah, I feel some kind of, I really feel some type of way about that. And that's just me being honest. Yeah. Is that something that the defense brings in, Drunky the Bear? Yeah, I can't wait to see more of the case. I mean, I'm not going to go through the entire case now. I'm hoping that the defense, when they go through the trial, but I definitely want to see it. It's not constant insanity. See, that's what I don't know, because I'm not a medical personnel, so I don't know how it goes on and off and in waves and stuff. I don't know. So I'm not even trying to proclaim like I am. So I'm just telling you, as being a person that's looking from the outside in, as maybe a juror would, maybe all the other jurors may think that this is something that it goes in waves, or maybe they might be a person like me that don't understand that. I'm having a hard time, I can tell you personally, reconciling that in my head. So I don't know. I kind of want, if you're gonna be it, I want you to be it. But y'all know I'm crazy anyways. Okay. So let's listen to, I got the one victim, Kimberlee, who testified in the first case. She is on the stand. Let me see if it's day 3. Wait a minute. Oh, what did I do here? Okay, let me get back here. Let me see. Did they start her testimony? Didn't. So I listened to her testimony. You know, what that's the medical examiner that testified right there. I won't play his testimony. But let's start off with her testimony. Let's listen to her, because in the meantime, between time, he just scared the bejesus out of some people, and she looked like she didn't survive with her damn life. So I don't know. Okay. Let's see. Let's listen to her statement, her testimony.
Please state your first and last name and spell them both.
Kimberlee, Kimberlee, Guillory, Guillory.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's fine, please. Hate to do this, but we're going to take the blinds down now. Okay, so Mr. Demora, this is direct examination.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Now,
Hold on just a second.
Oh.
Ms. Guillory, could you pull that mic down closer to you, maybe scoot in a little bit?
Sure.
I just want to make sure we're able to pick you up.
How's that?
Much better.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, Counsel.
thank you. Guillory, thank you for being here.
Mhm.
I want to ask you a couple questions about yourself, and then I want to go to May 1st of 2023. And tell us, how old are you? I don't mean to be rude when I ask that
Okay.
question.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm 66.
Where are you currently living?
I live in Davis.
Where are you staying?
I have a home now.
When you say you have a home now, back in May of 2023, did you have a home or were you unhoused?
No, I was in house.
Leading up to, I'll just get to it, you were stabbed on May 1st of 2023.
Yes.
Prior to that stabbing, where were you staying when you were unhoused?
Kind of random places. Sometimes we would just move to a different place. Sometimes we would have to be told we had to move.
When you say we would move, who were you talking about? Who's we?
Well, usually I had friends around me. I tried to always be with somebody so I wasn't alone.
Did you have a group of people that you usually would move with?
Kinda, it just depended. I'm kind of a needy person. I like things nice and neat, and a lot of homeless people don't live that way, so I had a hard time finding people that I could live that way with.
You're like all of us, we're kind of selective with our friends, right?
Yes.
Totally fair and understandable. So right before you were stopped on May 1st, were you still living in Davis at that time?
Yes.
Where were you living at that point? Like what area? Street?
I was on L Street, right where if you go down L Street from the shelter, the homeless shelter, it kind of curves around. And it was right there. It's actually PG&E property.
So I show you People's Exhibit 25. Would you be able to point to on here where it was you were standing at the time?
Sure.
Ready to take it down?
Okay.
Do you recognize that as a Google map?
Oh, wow, that's weird. Okay. Right here.
Okay, and you
The curve goes around here. We were right in here.
okay. And let me put this on the overhead map, or excuse me, the overhead projector for you. I think there's a laser pointer up there.
Do you want to grab that black pen like, yes, and then
Oh,
point it at the screen over there
wondered what that
and press
was.
that button. Okay,
Okay.
so he's gonna ask you to locate things like that.
Okay. Let's see, that's
So
weird.
if you could without laser pointer, where were you?
Oh, there. That's L Street right there. Okay, so it was down about this, down here on this side.
Were you staying on?
I believe, unless it might have been right here. I'm backwards. That's where it's at. 'Cause that's where the road goes.
Let me just reference you for a second. The railroad tracks are on the bottom of the screen. Does that help you?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where it was. It was right in here.
About how long have you been living in that area?
We had only been there a couple days.
Where were you staying beforehand?
By the railroad tracks down by off of I don't know what it's called. I came from West Sacramento, so I wasn't real familiar with this area.
And that's okay. I personally don't know most landmarks. I will tell you, hey, turn by McDonald's or something like that, and I won't be able to tell you streets or anything like that. So you're in good company with us.
Thank you.
What led, when you moved to Second and L, the PG&E station, why did you move there?
Well, I came from West Sacramento. I was, my daughter had been sick. She lived in Napa, and I was taking care of her, and she passed away. And I took care of my grandson for about a year and a half after she passed away, because he was only a year old. And then when I came home, my roommate had moved some guy into our house to help him, I guess, with the rent. And the guy had been robbing him, taking his money. He wasn't paying the rent. And when I came home, the landlord showed up 2 days later and said, if you are out in 4 days, we won't file an eviction. So I ended up on the street.
And so, was that when you ended up on the street where you were at the railroad tracks before going to L Street?
Well, the shelter didn't have, they only had so much money, so they didn't really have a place for you to sleep at night. So we just found random places to, be able to do that.
And so when you got to L Street, why did you and the other, your friends pick that
Because it was empty, there was nobody else around, and it was kind of clean, you know, it was a nice place to put, you know, your tent. And we usually broke down in the mornings though, and would go, you know, come back later that night.
Where would you go when you break down? And I should ask first, when you say break down, you mean you would pick up your belongings and leave and go somewhere else?
Well, we'd just go and maybe leave it at the shelter until they got ready to close, and then we'd get it and carry it around till we were ready to put it up.
And what were you staying in at that time?
I was staying in my friend's tent, and he had he had another tent that he slept in.
I'll show you an image from People's Exhibit 24. This is going to be images, stipulation. Now, it's showing you image 749. 749-6852 on People's Exhibit 24. Is this the area on L Street that you were staying?
It looks like it, yes.
And is that your tent?
I don't think so, because I didn't have that thing next to me.
You say that thing, what do you mean?
The green tent thing. It's whatever you call that, with the writing on it.
Oh, the canopy.
But it's all pretty much the same there. It just has random empty spaces.
Well, that awning itself is not yours, right?
No.
I'll show you.
That doesn't look like the right place. Oh, that does now.
All right, how about that, Ms. Guillory? Does that look like your tent?
Kind of, but I don't know. They've got a tarp over the top of it or something over the top of it. It's just all open there.
Okay, well, forget the tarp itself that's over it. Does that look like your tent where you were staying?
Yes.
And who owned that tent? You said it was your friend's tent?
My friend's tent.
Who's your friend?
Larry.
What's Larry's last name?
I don't know.
That is okay. So in that area, that's the area on L Street where you and your friends had set up.
Yes. There was 3 of us. Oh, 4.
Including you or 3?
4. There's 4 of us because there was a couple.
Who's that couple?
Isaac and Christine.
And who was the other individual?
And Larry, and then me.
You know Mr. Osorio?
Yes, I do.
He
He actually was down at the very end, but I don't know if he was there that night. I don't know.
You say he was down at the very end.
Yeah, coming from the shelter, he was at the very end there. It's like 1 block.
And so closer to 3rd Street and L Street.
Mm-hmm.
And yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. You're nervous, I take it.
Yes.
It's okay. We get nervous asking questions, and I know we get nervous answering them too. So it's just for a Mountain Court reporter, so she can take that down. And so when he's a little bit further up, he wasn't part of, you wouldn't consider him part of your group where you were staying.
No.
So I want to go to May 1st of 2023, right? Can you go with me there?
Mm-hmm.
Now, around 11 11:46 p.m. Where were you at that time?
I think I was visiting a friend, and then I came home. Well, came to my tent.
Okay, well, let's start at the beginning of the evening. Okay. Actually, let's start at the beginning of the day. So do you remember how you started your day that day?
Usually I would go to the shelter, take a shower, do some laundry, and get dressed for the day. And then I would go do random things, maybe go get something to eat, go to the park. Not a whole lot.
And at some point, well, I should say, during your day, did you break down and did you and your friends break down your camp, kind of like you had just described?
Yes.
When did you go back there that day on the 1st?
I believe it was probably around 7, 8 o'clock at night. I'm not really sure. Everybody was already asleep. So it might have been 9 o'clock.
Was it already dark outside?
Yes.
At some point, when you got back there, did you leave to go to In-N-Out Burger or get food?
No. Not that night. I don't think.
What were, when you got back, did you stay, actually, I should say, when you got back, what did you do?
I went into my tent and I just sat down, and I had my phone, so I was looking at my phone. I had my back up against the side of the tent. Everybody else was already asleep.
Was Larry in the tent with you?
No, he was in his own tent right next to me, though. Real close.
What was the lighting like at that time?
It was pretty dark.
Did you have, in the camera, did you have lights, like light sources, like lamps or anything like that?
I don't think so, not then, not at that time, because we had just started staying there. So, and Larry, that was actually his tent. He let me use it. And he had another one that he was using. And no, I was in the dark in my tent. Except for my...
Stop right there and let's talk about this tent a little bit. The tent itself, did it appear to be in good condition?
I guess it was okay, yeah.
Okay,
It seemed like it was fairly new.
Did it have any like cuts or holes or anything in it?
No.
Did it have, I'm looking at this image right here in 7496981. Looking at this, how did you get into the tent? Meaning, like, where was the opening?
That was, it was sitting just like that, basically, but the opening was on the other side.
When you say the other side,
It was actually kind of on this side.
How about with the laser pointer, if you can point to which side?
Oh, I'm
it's on?
sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, right there was the back of it. And then right here on this side was the opening for to go in. That wasn't there.
Okay, so let me ask you, when you say the opening to get in, are you pointing to the side where that string is?
Yeah, there was a door right there.
And then when you say that wasn't there, what were you referring to?
Oh, the opening right there. It was over on the side.
Next to the sidewalk.
Yes. No, on the inside of the where the trees are.
Oh,
It was on the other side. Yes.
got it. So
Sorry.
facing that wall to the PG.
Yes.
So when you're sitting in your tent, did you have, when you see you were on your phone, did you have a lamp or anything else in there?
No, the phone kind of lit it up.
And if you can, let me see. Switch images quickly. All right, on People's 24, that is 7496984. Okay, so we're looking at this different angle, same time.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us, in looking at this, where you were sitting in your tent?
I was sitting in the back of it, and the door was on the side.
Were you sitting, you were pointing to the left, the upper left-hand side. Were you sitting where this, a hole in the tent is?
Okay, no, yes, that's where I was sitting. That was all solid. And around this way was the door. And I usually I had my bed right there.
Okay, that's my question.
Mhm.
Your bed and where you're sitting was right where this hole in the tent is.
Yes, but it was solid there. There was no opening.
Now, when you were sitting there, was your back up against the fabric?
Yes,
Did
it
you feel
was.
the fabric against you?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And how long did you sit in that position, just on your phone?
I don't think I was there very long. Maybe 15 minutes.
While you were there, did you hear anything outside in the area?
Didn't hear a thing.
When you had gotten back to your tent and where you were staying, had you talked with any of your friends that were there?
No, they were asleep when I got back.
Said it felt like someone was punching you. I want to go through that quickly. How many times?
3 times.
That what it felt like?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
First time it took my breath away, and then somebody came, excuse me, up behind me where I was sitting outside, and they came down with a knife and cut my tent. And at the time, I wasn't sure that I was getting stabbed. I thought somebody was punching me at first.
Let me stop you. Stop you right there. You never left your tent, right?
No.
Were you expecting any visitors?
No.
Were you still seated on the ground? When you said it felt like someone was punching you, I want to go through that quickly. How many times?
3 times.
That what it felt like?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
First time it took my breath away, and then it just continued.
When the first time it took your breath away, how did it feel? And when I asked how it felt, was it soft or did it feel like someone just...
Like somebody just punched me really hard in the back.
Could you feel in your back where you thought you had been punched?
Yeah, and kind of close to my waist.
If you could stand up and point to that area. If you wouldn't mind.
Right here is where it fell,
And
in this area here.
the record pointing towards your lower back.
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes. Sorry.
It's okay. Alright, so you get hit the first time. How quickly was the next, what you described?
It was pretty quick. I wasn't even sure that I was being stabbed at the time. I just felt like somebody was punching me really hard in my back at first.
Did it immediately hurt?
It took a couple seconds after the first blow, but yeah, it started to hurt.
How did you react?
I started screaming very loudly, and then I laid down because I guess Larry and Isaac.
Sustained.
I only want you to tell us what you
Oh,
know at the time.
Well, that's what I was going to say, that they came running towards me, and that's when they grabbed him and started fighting with him, trying to get a hold of him.
Sustained.
Yeah, we're gonna go. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, just the objection is sustained and the answer is stricken.
We're gonna go through a series of questions on this.
Okay.
And if I cut you off, I'm not trying to be rude.
No, it's okay.
Just have a follow-up question to that. Okay, so you start screaming loudly. And if you could describe for us, were you screaming like words or were you screaming just?
I was screaming help.
No, this may seem like a silly question, but why were you screaming for help?
Because he was continuing to stab me. I didn't know who it was or why they were doing it.
As soon as you screamed, you mentioned that you lay down. Did you lay down? Let me ask you, why did you lay down?
Because I was hurting inside.
Did anyone respond to your cries for help?
Yes, Larry and Isaac did.
Guillory, were you able to see did the person who did this to you, did they ever come inside your tent?
No.
Did this person ever say anything to you?
No, they did not.
As you were laying there, could you hear what was going on outside your tent?
I could see them.
When you say you could see them, who are you talking to?
Larry and Isaac.
Did you see what they were doing?
They were like wrestling with him.
When you say him, who are you referring to?
Mr. Dominguez.
You just looked over and nodded at Mr. Dominguez. Do you recognize Mr. Dominguez?
Yes, I do.
Do you recognize Mr. Dominguez from May 1st, or do you recognize Mr. Dominguez from?
From May 1st.
If you could, just point to and describe an article of clothing he's wearing.
Suit and tie.
Well, you give a little bit of description.
A black suit.
Off to my left.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Guillory, when you were watching this, have you realized that something had happened to you that was more than a punch?
Not until after they were done he somehow got away from them and took off running. And
Lay a foundation for it. Certainly.
When did you figure out that what had happened to you was more than a punch?
I stood up after he had took off, and I turned around and Isaac said, "Oh my God, you're bleeding." And then all of a sudden I felt blood just gush out of my back, the back of me. And that's when it really started to hurt. So I was pretty much laying on the floor when the ambulance showed up.
Did the pain increase at that point?
Yes.
Did you call 911?
I believe I did.
Is it a little bit hard to remember that because of January?
Yes.
Who was there another? You mentioned, I believe, Christine was also there.
I never saw Christine though. I don't know if she came out of the tent or not. I just saw Larry and Isaac.
Did someone call 911 with you?
They may have. I wasn't really aware of what was, other than what I could see right there in front of me.
Did you ever lose consciousness or anything like that?
Yes, I did. After I actually dialed my daughter's number and she answered the phone and I said, "I've just been stabbed." And she goes, "Oh my God." And then the ambulance driver took the phone out of my hand. From that point, I must have lost consciousness because I don't even remember them putting me in the ambulance. I don't remember anything until waking up in the hospital.
Looking at this exhibit and this photograph right here, you mentioned that when you got to your tent on May 1st of 2023, that cut in it wasn't there. Is that right?
No.
You know, did this happen because of the attack on you?
Was that my tent? I don't remember what color it was because I'd only been slept in it one night. But it had a zipper for the door.
But no other cuts in it?
No, no other cuts.
When you looked out and you said you saw Isaac and Larry, did you look out of this hole in the tent or did you look out of something else?
Out of the hole.
How long did you see Isaac and Larry once they responded to your call for help? How long did you see them fighting?
A couple minutes.
Did it seem that long? Could have been a little bit less.
It could have been a little less. Everything happened so quickly.
How long did you spend in the hospital?
I'm not sure. It was several weeks, I believe. The knife chopped up my kidney and my liver. So they had to reconstruct it or something.
Did you have to have surgery?
Yes.
How many?
I have no idea. I wasn't even really coherent through a lot of it. It wasn't until I came out of the anesthesia and everything. But it was pretty long. I think I was in there a few days. I mean, at least a week or two.
And glad you're here today. How long did it take for you to recover?
It took me about a month or two from the surgeries and everything.
Let me stop you there. Ms. Guillory, we're gonna take an afternoon break, okay? And so we've got a few more questions for you on the other side of the break, okay? So you're excused and you're free to step out.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, then we'll take a 15-minute afternoon break. Do not research.
Okay, so that's the first part of her testimony. We got about an hour left for her testimony. We'll get into that tomorrow. I told you I wasn't gonna keep y'all here that long. We will tomorrow we will get more into which I think is probably I think Judge Shamrock kind of mentioned it in regards to probably more. We'll get more into the defense part of the case only because they bring in his interrogation video. The defense part also explains. Well, I don't want to say explains, but I want to listen to the girlfriend's testimony, and we'll listen to the rest of the victim's testimony only so we know, we do have a survivor to kind of like explain what the attack was like. Thank goodness she survived this incident. And we will get into those things tomorrow, but at least we got some of it done today because I was like, I don't think we want to do a 12-hour stream. At least I don't want to do a 12-hour stream, but I think that a lot of this stuff I would like to see if we can listen to because I'm worried that he may not testify the next time. I don't know if he's going to testify in this trial or not. I don't know if the prosecution team is going to pull back some of the testimony that they presented. Remember, this trial was like 3 or 4 weeks. So is it going to be shorter now because they don't have to prove premeditation because they can't charge him with premeditation because that's double jeopardy. So there's that. So I definitely want to, just in case they don't play any of those things. And I just want to understand the difference with their opening statements from now to the end. Her story is going to be basically the same. I just wanted to understand the context around it. Because like I said, I've never seen the trial, so I don't know anything about it. So there's that. So other than that, I will put out our link for part 2 for tomorrow. We'll start in the morning, just so y'all know. So we'll start in the morning tomorrow. And we'll get our part 2 in for that portion. I think that I was telling y'all in regards to Jordan's aunt, she was in the thing, the daughter of Bill Cole. She is, I think it's day 3 and 4, right, Marilda, up under the videos? Our live videos. Yeah, she just happened to be in the chat. She happened to be typing up on her video. And I was like, oh, really? Wow. Ooh, wow. I'm so late with this stuff. It looked like Film put it in the it looked like he put it in the Discord link for you guys. All right, guys. All right. Well, like I said, I wasn't gonna keep y'all long. You guys have a wonderful Sunday. I will I'm about to go in here and make me some mac and cheese and get myself together for tomorrow. And yeah. Shout out to the mods, shout out to the chat. Yeah, of course. All right, I'm gonna put our outro song on. Let's see here.
When Sweet Pea taps in, you know the courtroom lights go bright. Trials running long, but the family's here every night. Mars on patrol, chat is showing out. This little YouTube corner's what community's about. Therapist you know, steady holding down the floor. Behind the scenes magician, keeping peace like never before. A banner king, a rule keeper too. Every channel dreams of a mind like you. Jason walks in and the ladies lose control. Down to earth king with the warmest soul. Film freaks, kindness man is always on display. Fair and sweet and cheering folks along the way. And Maria from SA keeps the laughter rolling free. Joking, shining, keeping spirits where they need to be. We're a family in the chat, side by side through every trial. Sweet Pea leads the way with that fire and that smile. We debate, we laugh, we lift each other higher. This courtroom crew is everything we admire. Yeah, no matter what the case or file, we'll forever take it to trial. Take it to trial. Pretty brown girl, she'll tell you what's true. Sharp as a gavel, funniest in the room. Dr. Rachel pops in while she's busy running lines. Speaks her mind every time, cuts through like a knife. And Fowler brings the energy, jokes flying fast. Helping Sweet Pea backstage, making every stream last. And Zach strolls and causing chaos just for fun. The resident cheater, but we love him, everyone. Here comes Maddie, handsome, quick with the line. Comedy sniper with the perfect timing. And Lynn with the updates, always loyal, always tuned. If true crime news drops, he brings it to the room. We're a family in the chat, side by side through every trial. Sweet Pea leads the way with that fire and that smile. We debate, we laugh, we lift each other higher. This courtroom crew is everything we admire. Yeah, no matter what the case or file, we're forever take it to trial. Take it to trial. Shamrock keeps us trending, replay queen. Holding down the algorithm like a machine. Estes razor sharp, loyal through and through. And yeah, she adores Jason, nothing new. Drunky the bear with the white cloth way, managing volunteers like she runs the whole land. Cynthia brings inside with take sharp and steady. Donna keeps it real, 911 and always ready. Tilly Bird's the fat queen, receipts on tap. Easy's new, but she blends right into the pack. Tennessee, hard live, try support her with pride. Melly shows up a family for cooking for his dog. A steady carrying presence through the courtroom fog. And Brooklyn in the house, always bringing that spark. Lighting up the chat like a shout in the dark. Baka loves her gram, speaks truth when it's time. Micrograms with metaphors, straight up sublime. Barbara, biggest supporter, heart kind and vast. Looking for missing kids, hope to truly last. Only fan from Singapore, flag name but sweet. Still shows up with love every time he takes a seat. And even the part-timers keep this place alive. Curvier, Irish Amy, Capri Law, Hellcat, our tribe. Hearts wide open, stories shared, holding space because we care. From every corner of the world we climb to spend these nights together, one trial at a time. We're a family in the chat,
is something rare. A courtroom crew with hearts beyond compare. No matter what the case or file, we're forever taken to trial. It's a family, and we couldn't ask for more.